Good afternoon. Thank you for coming today. I'm New York State Attorney General Schneiderman, and I'm very honored to be joined here by Congressman Dan Maffei, Mayor Stephanie Miner, Senator David Valesky, and our police chief, Frank Fowler. And we're here as a group reflecting commitment at the state, local, and federal levels to dealing with the most serious crime wave in America today, which is the theft of smartphones and assaults and murders associated with those thefts. In the last few years, I'm happy to say that most categories of crime have gone down in New York State. The exception is thefts of smartphones. We're talking about 1.6 million Americans a year victimized, tens of thousands of
That's the second reason.
That's the second reason. It's fine. If not, you can always buy a replacement, which is something I want to discuss. 1.6 million Americans here victimized assaults, even murders. We've had people in my office who lost family members who were shot for their smartphones. The staggering statistics tell you a story of a crime wave that can be stopped by the manufacturers of smartphones, but they have declined up until now to do so. So this started from my office at the beginning of last year, and we became aware of the crime statistics because of the explosion statistics in 2012. Beginning last year, we learned that in New York City, there was a 40% increase in smartphone theft and assaults. And then we started looking at stats around the rest of the country and discovered this was an epidemic. Our tech guys then figured out that the problem was that smartphones are very easy to steal. They're very easy to clean, what they call jailbreaking them. And there's a whole, they've got their own vocabulary about this. Smartphone theft is called apple picking. That's what the thieves call it. Cleaning is called jailbreaking. They're easy to clean, and you have a brand new smartphone ready for use. And then there's a very sophisticated fencing network to ship them to places like Hong Kong, where this is worth probably $2,000 because they sell them in different terms overseas. But we then determined that the crime wave will end as soon as all the manufacturers install kill switches so you can cancel it like a credit card. Then the crime wave ends. The thieves have no incentive to do this, but it has to be industry-wide, and it has to be something that the crooks know everyone has the capability of using. So we started off confronting the manufacturers, along with the district attorney of San Francisco, who had been working on this also, and then started building our Secure Smartphone Coalition. We now have well over 100 people involved. We have mayors, we have district attorneys, we have attorneys general, bipartisan agencies have written to the manufacturers. And I'm pleased to say that starting last summer, Apple did install an activation lock. Samsung announced very recently they're installing an even more sophisticated product on their new smartphones. We cannot rest until every manufacturer has got an opt-out, not an opt-in, activation lock, and we can all be safe. Now, one of the reasons we have determined that we had so much problems, and we put this out there, we determined after they conceded, the manufacturers came to our office and conceded they can install a kill switch, they have the technology. But they were saying, well, we like customer choice, customers may not want to use it. And, this is like saying customers should have choice on whether they have brakes or headlights or turn signals. This doesn't just affect the customer, it affects everyone else's safety. And then we discovered that they were making $30 billion a year, the manufacturers replacing lost and stolen smartphones, and that seems to us to probably be a more serious reason for their reluctance than concern over customer choice. We've also confronted the fact that when one manufacturer wanted to install a very strong kill switch technology, they got resistance from the carriers, the phone services, who make money selling insurance for your smartphone. So we've now broken through that. Samsung has announced that there are 2 carriers that are willing to use its new technology. But we can't rest until all manufacturers have installed opt-out kill switches. The strongest piece of leverage we have, and we have great allies in local government, and Mayor Miner has already been a part of this coalition, and Chief Fowler. Our best leverage right now is the fact that our colleagues in the federal government have introduced a statute, the Smartphone Theft Prevention Act, in Congress. It has sponsors in both the House and the Senate, and I'm very pleased that Congressman Maffei is here adding his substantial influence and weight to this cause. I think this is something that the manufacturers will do. I think they will do it within the next 6 to 8 months. but they are going to move faster because of the pressure from the federal government. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be here with my great colleagues in government today. And now I'd like to bring up Congressman Maffei, who has a huge impact here and in Washington. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that we now have him as one of the sponsors of the bill to solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I first became interested in this in some of my work on the Science and Technology Committee, and there are a lot of technologies that actually are available. We did a hearing recently on technologies available to help confirm your credit card to avoid some of the credit card losses. But amongst all of this, probably the lowest hanging fruit, excuse the pun, the lowest hanging fruit are putting kill switches on these phones. And it's simple. It's something that you would, if your phone gets stolen, you can access it remotely. You can make it so all of your information would be private, so that nobody would ever be able to get to any of your information, so that you would be protected from anybody trying to get your personal identification and say, do your identity theft, and so that nobody would ever be able to use your phone again, and therefore, why steal it? And indeed, if you look at a lot of the violent crime that has resulted from cell phone theft, this might be one of the few areas where a kill switch can save lives. And that's why it's so important. Now, we'd like the companies to do it themselves, and we believe they will. And as the Attorney General mentioned, Samsung and Apple have started taking some steps, but we need to make sure they do. And that's why Jose Serrano has introduced, and I have co-sponsored this bill, the Smartphone Theft Prevention Act. It's also got a companion bill in the Senate, because if the companies won't do it themselves, then we've got to make sure people are protected. I'm hopeful that they will. I think that they will see that we're serious and that they will. And then the last thing is just how proud I am to be in a state and a city that's really taking a lead on this. The Attorney General has been the national leader on this, along with the DA for San Francisco, and the state is really taking a lead. And in our city, the mayor and the chief of police, who are always looking exactly where the crime problem is in the community and address it. So now we need to make sure that the rest of the country understands and does it something as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. And now someone who provides state and national leadership on a whole host of issues and has made her voice heard here in Washington and in Albany, your great Mayor Stephanie Miner.
Thank you very much. When the Attorney General said that, I looked around because you could say the same about all of the gentlemen who are behind me, providing great leadership on state and national level. Those of you from the local media have often heard me talk about how local government needs the help of other levels of government to solve problems. And this is a perfect example of where we are seeing this happen. From the data we collected, which we do assiduously to make decisions and look at policies, we saw a rampant uptick in the kind of theft of smartphones and the impact it was having in our neighborhoods. In sharing that with the Attorney General, who was finding it on his own and doing his own research, and we endeavored to form a solution. Congressman Maffei has been there with us, looking forward to doing this, as well as Senator Valesky. So this is a perfect example of where you're seeing all levels of government working together, using data to drive a solution that is going to impact people's lives for the better in our community. I'm happy to be here to join my voice in support of this initiative and this effort, but also to remind you that this is not the first time that any of these gentlemen who hold elective office have stood behind me in this very hallway to announce a policy that inures to the benefit of people in Syracuse, Onondaga County, and Central New York, and I am eternally grateful for their leadership, that they show this community, and most importantly, for helping all of us solve problems to make sure that the people who live in this community have a better quality of life because of their efforts. So thank you very much for all of your efforts.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. And it is, I must say, it is always a pleasure to be in this hall because we're always seem to be announcing something good. The last time I was here, we were announcing good things related to land banks, and that legislation was sponsored by our next speaker, a terrific colleague in government, and a member of our Secure Our Smartphone Coalition, State Senator David Valesky.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. Yes, it was not that long ago we were here talking about land banks, and just to refresh everyone's memory, Onondaga County and the city of Syracuse is the first land bank in the state. We are going to move forward now. The Attorney General, myself, and Assemblyman Macarelli have sponsored your program bill to expand the land bank program in other communities across the state, so it's going to continue to be a great success. Mayor, Congressman, and Police Chief, thank you all for the leadership that you're providing. I'm happy to be here from the state legislative perspective. There are bills that have been introduced in the New York State legislature, but this clearly, we're talking about manufacturers. This is something that is a national issue and a national problem that needs to be solved. And that is why the leadership from both Attorney General Schneiderman in working with the District Attorney from San Francisco and taking this to another level, and Congressman Maffei from the legislative perspective, who is working in a collaborative fashion with colleagues all across the country. This is not just a problem in New York City. You cited the statistics in New York City, but it's cities all across America. So we'll get this solved. As you said, either the manufacturers will do the right thing, and if they don't, I'm sure that Congressman Maffei and his influence in Washington through the legislative process will ensure that the right thing gets done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And finally, the person who sees this problem on the ground day to day and who is one of the truly great law enforcement officers in our state. It's my honor to introduce Chief Fowler.
Thank you. The first step in enforcement is a deterrence. Deterrence through enforcement and deterrence through education. Here in the city of Syracuse, we use data to drive our forces, to drive our resources, to address the problems, the specific problems. When you look at the area of robberies, and to put this, the robbery of cell phones in perspective, in 2011, we had 399 robberies, and 89 of those robberies were cell phone robberies, which made up 22% of those robberies. In 2012, there was 465 robberies in the city of Syracuse, 121 of which were cell phone robberies, which made up 26%. In 2013, robberies were down. They were down from 2012. They were down to 422 because we recognized robbery. There was an uptick in robberies. We dedicated the proper resources to those robberies, and therefore we were able to bring that number down. However, out of the 422 robberies in 2013, 146 were cell phone robberies, which made up 35%. So robberies overall were down in 2013. However, robberies of cell phones increased. So therefore, this should explain to you the full magnitude of this problem. And that's why the importance of legislation like this, it's extremely important to law enforcement because it will provide us with the necessary tool to educate the public and discourage those who want to engage in stealing or robbing people for these types of cell phones. And sooner rather than later, the need is definitely there, and I would like to thank the people over my shoulder here for getting involved in this effort because it's going to certainly help out to drive these crimes down. Because robberies of any type of property, it places people in harm's way. And when we can discourage this type of robbery, we can have an opportunity of decreasing our robberies by 35%. And that's a great number, a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice job. So as the mayor said, one of the things that distinguished, I think, everyone here, we like to collaborate. We like to work on behalf of the people of Syracuse and of Onondaga County and of the other counties represented here today and of the state of New York. And we all work together. This is a terrific team effort, and because of a team effort, because we understood from the beginning we could only pressure these manufacturers with a coalition, these are our partners, these are the people. We're going to make sure we get this done. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.